You're on CYInterview.
I'm Chris Yannick. Today on CYInterview, we welcome actor, writer, director Mike Heslin to talk about his new Amazon mockumentary series that will debut on December 28th on Amazon Prime Video called The Influencers. Thanks for being with us on CYInterview today. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you here today. So let's just start with what inspired you to do this project?
You know, it's amazing how much social media has just boomed and made new industries that didn't exist. You know, influencers and influencing wasn't a thing 10 years ago. So just kind of sitting back and, you know, being part of that culture, I think everyone can agree that social media can be very polarizing, especially I think in 2020 we saw it multiple times with the pandemic and the election. So, you know, I think social media can be an amazing tool that connects people, but it also can, you know, I think create a game of comparison, and it gets all too easy on Instagram to compare yourself and your life to other people or think you're not doing as much as someone else, or, you know. So based on that, along with my love for reality TV and mockumentaries like The Comeback and Best in Show, I kind of formulated this idea of what if we put 6 of these influencers, and not to bash all influencers, but these 6 definitely don't have much of a skill set. And I was like, well, what if we put these people together in a Big Brother type house to compete for a big dream brand deal? And the idea tickled me, and I just ran with it. And 2 years later, here we are.
So, you know, looking at this whole perspective, you also star in the series aside from being its behind the camera director. So did that give you a new perspective about this process?
Oh, yes. So I wrote, directed, produced it, and also played Taylor, half of this kind of obnoxious Insta couple in the show. And let me tell you, it definitely gave me a new perspective. Directing and appearing in it was definitely a challenge. It was super fun, but you're switching hats so frequently, you know. And yeah, it was interesting because, you know, even when I was shooting, or like I'd be in a group shot or whatever, you know, you're trying to be fully present as an actor, but like, of course, you can't help think, okay, well, did we get it? Maybe we should move to this, or, you know, it was a lot of multitasking, but it was fun, and I personally kind of thrive when I'm super busy, so that definitely kept me busy. Yeah, but it definitely gave me a new appreciation for people like Dan Levy, who kind of wear multiple hats as well.
What is the social commentary moment or message you want people to get away from this project?
I think it's really, again, about that game of comparison, and also that, you know, like, what you see online is not necessarily what you get in real life. You know, again, it's really easy to compare yourself to the next guy, or, you know, she's so pretty and always traveling, or, you know, I think people present themselves, of course, the way they want to be perceived, which rightfully so. But I think the message is, I hope, more so speaks to, you know, that feeling of like, you know, inadequacy or comparing yourself, you know, just to know, like, that's not necessarily the truth. And my personal philosophy, I think, you know, with all messages, even more kind of serious or heartfelt ones, I think the best way to deliver that is with a laugh. So that's why I decided to make it into a comedy.
There was an interesting article that came out about a month ago where it talked about how some social media influencers literally photoshopped themselves into exotic locations they have never gone before, speaking of it isn't what you think it is. So what do you think that really says about when we look at your series? Are people going to be able to laugh at themselves who are social media influencers? What do you take from all of that?
Yes, absolutely. I love that you said that. I don't want to give any spoilers, of course, but that exact scenario that you said happened last month may or may not show up in one of the episodes, because that is a very real thing, and I've heard, read, and seen people do that, which is crazy. But yeah, no. So my intention from the start, and I do think after screening it for several like test audiences, I hope it's effective. It seems to be. But I think whether you love social media or you absolutely loathe it and hate it, I think the show is for you. Because I have tons of friends, I've been there myself where, influencing is a real thing. And if a brand is offering you a paycheck, especially this year, when you can work remotely, of course, that's incredible. And there's tons of influencers and personal friends that I have that have successfully turned that into a kind of a full business. But, for that aside, there's a lot that, are kind of lucky to be there and don't necessarily have a skill set. So I think the show's packed with a ton of social media references, inside YouTuber jokes, things about Fire Festival, that only people like that who are in the know and, love social media will get. And then if you hate social media, it's very, very self-aware. These characters are pretty crazy and they are not self-aware. So I think if you hate it, you'll love it just as much because it's obviously poking a ton of fun at them.
Well, in this new day and age of Hollywood where everyone is trying to get a series acquired by Netflix or Amazon or Hulu, how does it feel to be one of those success stories and how this could be the career-changing moment for you?
It feels good, I think. Ask me in a month, I'm still kind of in it, but I'm super proud of it. And Amazon Prime, they have this whole thing where they work with independent filmmakers and you can upload your work there, even if you're not necessarily like an Amazon original like Mrs. Maisel. So that's really incredible, and we feel very grateful for that. But yeah, I mean, just speaking strictly to the project, I felt very passionately about this idea. Like I said, the second I came up with it, I started writing and finished all the episodes within a month or two. So I felt passionately that this was like a good idea, and it kind of gave me that fuzzy feeling when I think I'm onto something, and I still feel that way a year and a half later, after post-production, and obviously it's about to come out. So I'm very proud of it, and I of course hope this leads to more stuff, and we already have a season 2 kind of in the works, so
Ooh.
God willing, it'll be the beginning of a whole influencers franchise.
Well, you seem to be somebody who no doubt wants to make a difference in many different social and professional ways. So what is your message to people right now on how you think they can best help the arts this year with all the challenges the community has faced due to COVID-19?
Yeah, well, I think two things. I think, one, we financially really need to support the arts. I think obviously there's a ton of people, businesses, and groups affected by this. But that being said, I do feel like the arts can often kind of be put on the back burner by many, and not seen as a necessity. So maybe we don't have to financially support that part of our culture, which I obviously disagree with. I think the arts is critical and essential to our lives. But then also, I think, we can support ourselves at home. It's funny because, the show does poke a bit of fun at the kind of social media climate we live in. But there is a lot of good that comes from social media, right? Or I would argue. Like TikTok, for example, when it first started, I was like, what is this? But now, a few months later, after kind of playing with it and talking to my sister and brother who are younger, more of that generation than I am, I'm like, this is like a really great way it's basically, Final Cut and all the programs you use as a filmmaker, but in a very more accessible way. So basically everyone can be creating their own sort of art or getting their messages out there through social media. So I think we can also, in our own ways, can be promoting messages and getting your thoughts and your art across from our own homes.
Oh, absolutely, no denying that. So in closing, the big question always is now that you've got this project under you, what do you want people to know about you? And then the second question is, what is next for you?
Yeah, I mean, they tie in together. I'd love people to know that my my business and writing partner, Noah Mash, and I, we officially co-founded our production company last year. It's called Wellverse Entertainment, and The Influencers is the second official production under that umbrella. We also released a pilot called Boyfriends on YouTube, which we released that 2 months ago, and it's already at like 1.5 million views or something. It's been crazy, and the support has been amazing. So we have a lot going on, and we're really excited. You know, hopefully the pandemic will lift, and this vaccine will be great. But we're really looking forward to 2021 and to being able to shoot some stuff. We have 2 feature films in the works and a couple pilots, a couple exciting names attached. So yeah, I mean, I'd love for people to just check out Wellverse Entertainment. You can follow me at Mike Heslin, and we have some cool stuff coming next year, God willing.
Well, Mike Heslin, thanks so much, as always, for being with us on CY Interview. Again, The Influencers will debut December 28th on Amazon Prime Video. Thanks for being on CY Interview, and hang on with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
For CY Interview, I'm Chris Yandek.